I walk through the shadow of death left to fear. This is a journey through the halls of hell.
Yes people, what is good? I am BA and today we are reviewing the movie Arachnophobia. Now I watched this movie for the first time when I was very young and when I was a child I was more squeamish of things like spiders. And my god, if you have any sort of fear of spiders within you whatsoever, this movie will pull it out to the forefront and dial it up 1000%. The movie starts with a team in the Amazon who unbeknowingly bring back a spider with them to the United States. One of their team is killed and drained of all their blood on the way back due to a spider being in their little coffin with them. And this spider gets loose in rural America and we see it start to kill off people in the town and the surrounding houses. Jeff Daniels is the protagonist trying to get to the bottom of it, and also John Goodman pops up in a few scenes and absolutely steals the show as the bug killer for hire character. The way this movie builds its tension and horror is actually incredible, considering it's not a adult rated movie, or at least it's not a NC-17 or 18. You could walk into a video shop when you were 15 and rent Arachnophobia. But they don't need to show lots of blood and guts. It's all about building the tension with the natural creepiness of spiders, then being underneath toilet seat lids. One of the best shots in the movie is when a woman is eating a bowl of popcorn on the sofa in a glass bowl and you can see it crawl around in between the popcorn and the glass inside the bowl as she's eating from it. I think I remember them saying in the special features that they used a type of Brazilian spider which looked exotic and potentially poisonous, but it was completely harmless. And they did a great acting job throughout. They were definitely creepy and believable as highly poisonous spiders. Another interesting thing I learned from watching the special features back in the day was that there's a shot in the film where John Goodman steps on one of the spiders and you hear a squish, and I learned that they didn't kill any animals on set. All the spiders had a professional spider wrangler and were protected at all times, and in order to achieve that shot, John Goodman actually wore a pair of shoes with a hollowed out sole so he could step over the spider. It would look like he crushed it, but the spider was actually safe. And I feel like this has maybe got one of the best third acts of any thriller / horror of all time. Seriously, right now in your heads, think about how Arachnophobia's third act goes down and then compare that to the third act of all other horrors and thrillers. Is there really anything quite as tense? I mean, when he realises that the nest is in the barn and then you start to see all the spiders invade the house coming down from every surface on their threads, and then he has to encounter the queen spider and he fights it with a nail gun. This is like Ripley against the alien queen levels of epic, except it's even more terrifying because it's grounded in reality with animals that already exist on the planet which we occupy. You know, for a long time I always thought Steven Spielberg actually directed this movie, because for some reason it's stuck in my mind. Whenever I think of Arachnophobia, I think of the term a Steven Spielberg movie. But I looked on the back of the Blu-ray and he was just an executive producer. In fact, interestingly enough, Kathleen Kennedy was also a producer on this movie, so you know, she wasn't always bad. But Frank Marshall was the actual guy who directed this film. And to be honest, off of the top of my head, the name isn't ringing a bell as to what else he's done, and I bet I'm gonna kick myself when I finish this review and read his IMDb page, only to be shocked at the other work he's actually made. But right now, I don't want to cheat and do that, and yeah, I'm just unsure, and I can't think of anything else I've seen of his, even though I'm sure I have. Also, there are some moments in the film when they couldn't use real spiders. For instance, the queen spider, I don't think that's an actual live spider, I believe that's a puppet. But whenever they do have to resort to any sort of animatronics or puppetry, it merges seamlessly seamlessly, and once again just illustrates to me why any sort of thing that you can do in front of the camera will always be better than CGI, because these shots have stood the test of time incredibly well. It reminds me of the movie Tremors, in that even though it's dated and you would assume when you watch it back it's going to be cheesy and very puppet-like, you're always pleasantly surprised with the level of effects they were actually able to achieve. And I know I hate on CGI, and there are some truly classic movies which use a lot of CGI, Jurassic Park, The Matrix, Everything Everywhere All at Once, I can name a bunch of them. But tell me right now, would Arachnophobia truly be as great as it is right now today if those spiders were CGI? Absolutely no way. To be honest, it wouldn't have even built attention for me, because I would just always be thinking while I'm watching it, that actor was in a room with nothing scaring him, and those spiders were added on computer at a later date. Not in this movie. Poor Jeff Daniels had to run through a house full of Brazilian spiders, acting like they were about to kill him, while trying not to accidentally step on them. Top that CGI. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out or haven't checked it out in a while, be sure to do yourself a favour and watch Arachnophobia, one of the best horror/thriller movies of all time for me, and it's kinda one for all the family. It's not got a heavy rating, there's not a lot of blood, there's not a lot of graphic adult scenes with drugs, violence or sex or anything like that. It's just designed to scare you, scare people of all ages, and that's exactly what it does. And as always, if you've liked this review, click like, subscribe, comment down below, share this around, come and join the Patreon and support me personally and keep this channel going. Until next time, I've been BA, peace.